Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to this new webinar. This is Manuel Lucio speaking. I'm here with Carlos Alba. Hello. Okay, today we are going to talk about Plastic SCM and its new integration with Unity, as well as the new Gluon GUI. We also be explaining what Plastic SCM is and why it's so good for game development. Okay. So at the end of the webinar, we are going to spend some time answering questions, but if you have any during my explanation, please feel free to use the GoToWebinar chat system to write them all here. Okay, Carlos is going to be monitoring it and we will try to answer all your questions. If there's a question that is not answered yet, we will wait until the end of the webinar, right? Okay, remember that we also have a public forum hosted at plasticscm.net. You are also free to ask everything you want about Plastic SCM. Okay, let's start. So for those who don't know about Plastic SCM is a distributed version control system that shares similar aspects with Git and Mercurial. On the other hand, it provides some other features that are unique to Plastic SCM. For example, having an independent GUI for artists, which implements a much more easy workflow. It's also very powerful for developers. Branching and merging are key features. You can use the same Plastic SCM repository to handle the work done by both artists and developers. Plastic SCM also provides a lock-in mechanism, extremely useful if you are trying to achieve a merge-free workflow. Having big asset files is not a problem for Plastic SCM neither. You don't have to worry about your file size anymore. You just need to add them into Plastic and that's all. For the people coming from Git, I know you might be concerned about the file size using Git. File size is not a problem with Plastic SCM. And finally, we provide a Plastic SCM plugin for Unity. We are going to be doing a demonstration about Unity as well as the new Gluon GUI. And if you have any question, as we said, please don't hesitate to ask us. Okay, so let's move forward and continue. With Plastic SCM, you can keep all your project history, branches, and labels by using a local repository. You don't depend on a central server. In that way, it's very similar to Git. But of course, you will have then a local server in order to push new local changes and pull new remote content to your local repository. You can set up your own central Plastic SCM server for that purpose, or you can use your, better said, you can use our own encrypted cloud server. By the way, you can join the beta program using the URL displayed in this slide. We are about to release our own solution, having a cloud server for Plastic SCM repositories, similar than GitHub or Bitbucket, but in this case, hosting Plastic SCM repositories. Okay, so Plastic SCM is not, by the way, it's not just a DVCS. It can also behave as a central server used by hundreds of developers at the same time. This is actually how most of our customers are using Plastic SCM, especially game studios. That means that you don't use the Plastic SCM server for just pulling or pushing information. You use it for creating new branches, labels, revisions, and so on. Well, you are going to see how Gluon looks like during the demo, but let me explain first what it is and why we created. Gluon is not just a new GUI. We have created a complete new workflow around it in order to allow artists to work based on files and not in entire change sets. That is why from Gluon we can select the files we want to download, change them, and finally commit the changes to the repository without having to load the entire change set structure. Branching and merging are features that artists are not going to be using at all. They are key operations for developers, but artists don't get the benefit of using them. So we have removed the branching and merging support in Gluon. We want to focus on the operation artists are going to be really using. Therefore, the work done with Gluon will be stored in the main branch, not in child branches. We created Gluon as the answer for typical artist scenarios, basically because of the following three ideas. First, as an artist, my workflow should be getting the files I work with, then make my changes, and finally commit those changes to the repository. I don't want to be merging files, creating branches, or just using any other operation that are not needed for my work. Second, as an artist, I want to lock the files I'm going to start working with and prevent other people using them at the same time. This will save merge operations. And third, as an artist, I don't want to be forced to download the entire repository to my workspace. I just want to download the files I need for my work and nothing more. The game studios, as you may know, the game studios workspaces are usually pretty big, and switching between branches or creating new workspaces are usually expensive operations. At the end of the day, our main motivation is that artists don't use a version control tool like programmers do, and we know they need something different. Okay, remember Gluon, I said it before, remember Gluon is a tool created for artists, but it is still part of Plastic SCM, so developers can continue using the regular GUI, taking advantage of features such as branching, merging, semantic diffs, and the rest of powerful features. Meanwhile, artists can use Gluon to get the benefits of using a minimalistic SCM client. All the changes made by artists and developers will be stored in the same repository, but using a different workflow from the client side. It's one single server for two different workflows at the end of the day. Notice I'm speaking a lot of Gluon features, and that's because with Unity you will be able to use Gluon workspaces. Okay, let's go on. As you may think, all the artists working on the main branch will be a kiosk, okay? We can have artists starting working on the same unmergeable asset at the same time, or we can also have people starting working with an outdated asset version. All those scenarios are well supported by Gluon and by Plastic SCM. Gluon will allow the artist to perform a checkout operation, locking the asset he will be working on, preventing more people to change it. So that means that developer or that artist will be the only one allowed to change that file on that certain moment. Gluon will deny the checkout operation for an asset that is not the latest version, that will force everybody to start working from the latest content. Not losing changes and preventing merge conflicts is one of the key features of Gluon. As I said, it's not just a Gluon feature, it's also part of the regular Plastic SCM client. So if an artist check out a file using Gluon or using Unity using a Gluon workspace, it will be also locked for everybody. It doesn't matter if they are using Gluon or if they are using the regular Plastic client. And finally, handle large binaries. Handling huge asset files is not only a Gluon feature, but a Plastic SCM one, like the locking system. You can add large files, binary or text, to the repository without problems. This feature becomes very important for game studios because large files are a common thing for them, and other SCM tools are not supporting it. Okay, so now it's time for the demo. If you have a question right now, you can start writing them on the GoToWebinar question system. If not, I'm going to start working on the demo. Okay, so let's move forward. So what you are seeing right now is the Gluon GUI. As you can see, it's much more simpler than the regular Plastic SCM GUI, but the way I have it here. And you can review all the options you have in the left panel, okay, branches, Branch Explorer, etc.
think there is one question. Sorry,
Yeah.
Manuel. Is Unity Pro required for this?
No, well, if you are talking about Gluon, no, it's not required. It comes with a regular plastic distribution. But if you are talking about the Unity plugin, well, yes, in that case, you will need to have at least the team license of Unity. Okay, it's not something you purchase in the plastic page. It's something you need to go to the Unity page and purchase the team license. It basically allows you to use any other SCM tool like Perforce, I think Mercurial, and Plastic SCM.
Okay, there's one question. Frederick is asking, can you show us how to install Plastic SCM?
Well, I think I'm afraid we don't have time to do that right now, but I mean, if you are a Windows user, it's just a matter of using the regular installer, click Nest, 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 and everything should be set up for you, including the Plastic SCM server and everything. Well, actually, in Linux, it's also easy if you are using the package manager like apt-get. It's everything. It's performed completely smoothly. Maybe by the end of the webinar we can try to install Plastic SCM. Okay, let's move forward. I was talking about the regular Plastic SCM GUI. As you can see, you have plenty of options, create branches, and so on. If you compare it with the regular, with the new Gluon interface, it's much more simpler. Okay, you have an items view where you can review the files. You have a preview panel here where you can, if you click an image, for example, let's go to texture, future, yeah, this one, you can review the preview of this file, the attributes, and finally the history of this certain file. As you can see here, you have all the revisions I have been creating for this path, this file. Okay, so you have the items view, you have the check-in changes view, and the changes view. But the most interesting thing of Gluon is that allows you to select the assets you want to download from the repository. It's completely different than the regular Plastic SCM GUI, because with a regular Plastic client, you are forced to download the entire changed content, changed tree. Okay, with Gluon, you can select what do you want to download. And if you review what I have loaded in my workspace, you can see that I'm missing this bridge directory. Okay, this bridge directory is a completely new application that is part of the repository, but I don't want to have it in my workspace. If I want to have some or the complete structure of this bridge directory, I can select the files like I'm doing here and download it. In this case, I only want to download the license and the main file txt. If I apply this configuration, Plastic will download this content into my workspace and nothing more. Okay, as well as if I unselect the items, okay, or the root directory, those items will disappear from my workspace and I can continue working without any problem. Okay, so well, this is how you can configure your Gluon workspace. Finally, let me create a small change and we will jump to the Unity GUI, which by the way will be using this Gluon workspace. So let me go to assets, textures, and future, and let me check this file out. Okay, so now the file is checked out. That means that in this moment I'm the only one allowed to edit this file. If another developer tries to check this file out, he will receive an error. Okay, as well as if I try to check out a file that is not the head revision of the history of this file. Okay, I will get an error explaining to me that I will need to update my workspace or this file to get the latest revision and then be able to modify the file. In this case, I'm loading the latest, so I'm not having any problem. So let me open this in Explorer. Let me edit this. Let's create a very stupid change. So for example, here I will have an X. Okay, let's save it and go back to Gluon. As you can see, the preview has changed, but more interesting is opening the diff operation. Okay, here you have the side-by-side comparison. The left one is the previous revision, the right one is the new revision. You can see here very easily the difference. But if you are not able to see it, you can always use the onion screen and using the slider, review slowly the new revision. Okay, and you can see the cross appearing there. Okay, if I go back and move the slider to this one, this side, okay, you can see how it disappears. Okay, if you are not able to see the differences in this way, you can always click the difference button and just review what has changed from one revision to the new revision. And finally, we have the swipe button that is pretty similar than the onion screen, but this time the slider will reveal the right revision, the new revision, immediately. Okay. Okay, and well, as you may know, all the files are having their own properties, and the Plastic SCM revisions are also having them. So the store. And well, here you can review, for example, that the size has changed from one revision to another. Okay, perfect. So this is how you can review the differences with a PNG file. Next thing I want to perform is the check-in operation. To do that, I can move to the check-in changes view. You can see the changed items. Oh, I have a few more. Okay, some of them are not interesting to have in the version control system, so let's forget about them. Let's focus on this selected item. I can enter a comment. So this is a cross added. And finally, checking my changes to the repository. Okay, perfect. So now I have just created a new change set. Let's review it and let me refresh. Okay, cross added. Okay, perfect. So this is basically the workflow in Unity. After a check-in operation, well, if you are not comfortable with the new change you did, you can always go back to the Explore Workspace button, review the history for your revision, for your file, and if you want to load a different revision, you can use the revert operation. So let's imagine I rather prefer this revision that is having some green lines and some red lines. So I can right click and select revert to this revision. Okay, accepting this will download the revision to my workspace, and now it's the one I'm having in my workspace. Of course, you will need to check in the operation, okay, the revert operation. So it is reverted content. Okay, and you will be creating a new change set, and the history will reveal that you are now loading the revision number 99 and not the 145 anymore. Okay, perfect. So let's go now to cover the Unity.
Sorry, Mark, there is another question. You might have mentioned this, but which branch does Gluon work from?
Yeah, it's a very good question. It will work with the main branch in your repository, okay? And you will not be able to switch between branches. Gluon is completely tied to work with the main branch. Different developers using the regular Plastic GUI will be able to create many branches as they want and without any problem. But artist people working with Gluon, even if they are using Unity, working with a Gluon workspace, they will be forced to work in main. And that's all. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I was telling you that I'm about to switch to Unity. I was telling you that I will start working with a Gluon workspace in Unity. Uh, the main benefit of using a Gluon workspace with Unity is that you will save a lot of merge operations. Okay, keep in mind that if you are working with a regular plastic workspace, even if you are working with Git, okay, will be the same. If you are working and a coworker creates new changes on the head branch, okay, and you are behind the head of your branch, at the time you try to commit, you will get a merge request, a merge operation request, because your changes are not working with the head. Uh, you will save those merge operations if you use a Gluon workspace. And of course, you will also get the benefit of choosing what you want to load in your workspace. If you don't want to load, for example, big binary files or multimedia videos or whatever, you can deselect them in this view and make your workspace a little bit smaller. Okay? And get only the files you want to get. Okay, great. So let me switch to Unity. I have two Unity windows open here. One of them is using a regular plastic GUI, which is this one, using this level 0 workspace scene. And the other one is using Unity Gluon mode, okay, and it's loading this level 1.5.x as seen. Okay, so the first thing you need to take into account using Unity and Plastic SCM is configuring the properties, the project properties. And this can be done using this settings button or going to edit project settings editor. Okay, it's going to be the same thing. And here you can choose the version control provider. In this case is a Plastic SCM. And depending if you are going to be using a Gluon workspace or a regular Plastic SCM workspace, you will need to set up the Gluon mode to true if it's a Gluon workspace or to false if it's a regular plastic workspace. This is highly important, otherwise the connect button won't work. Okay? So that's the only thing you need to configure to attach a plastic workspace to work with Unity, to start performing the Plastic SCM operations from Unity. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing here is, well, modifying a scene or maybe some properties of an scene object and, you know, perform a very basic workflow. This time I'm using a Gluon workspace. So you can see that I'm not working with the head of the branch. I'm having some incoming changes. And you will see that it's not a problem when I perform a check-in operation because I will not get a merge error or a warning. Okay, merge operations are safe using Gluon. So okay, for example, let's take this bunny I have here and let's increase the scale. Let's say that I want to make it bigger. Okay, for example, let's set this to 1, 1, and 1. Okay, so now I'm having a much bigger bunny in here. So when I save the scene, you will see that automatically the Unity scene is checked out for us, and as well as some editor settings. But I'm afraid this is not having any change. Let me double check it. You can review the difference of a file by running this, and yes, well, the files are identical. That means that Unity only has checked it out in order to prepare it for some changes, but right now it's not change at all. But we also have this Unity scene file, check it out, for us, and also as well the metadata file associated with this file. Is highly important to not forget to check in the metadata file as well as the regular file. The plugin will handle this for you in a very transparent way. Okay, so now that I have my change, it's time to use the check-in operation in order to, submit the work to the workspace, to the repository, sorry. So right-clicking this versioning window. By the way, you can open this versioning window from this window panel and selecting, let me check it, version control. Yeah. So here you can open this view if you accidentally close it. Okay. And well, my outgoing changes are these two files. Now I can right-click and select Submit to the repository. So this is going to be this bunny size. It's now bigger. Okay, so submit them, and that's all. Now our revision is at the server side. Another developer could get this content from the repository. Now it's not a local change, it is stored in the Plastic SCM repository. And as you can see, I'm still having incoming changes, but it's not a problem as long as I don't change the same prefab of the same file. Okay, if I'm modifying some other files, I will not have any conflict or any merge operation going on until of course, I change the same file. In that case, I won't be able even to modify the same file because I will get an error telling me that, look, you cannot check out this file because there's a new revision available in the repository. Okay. By the way, let me show it to you using the command line what happens when you check out a file. Let me go back to this bunny, and let's say that I want to have it a capsule collider. I want to disable it. When I save the scene, let me do it like this, I get this file, check it out. And as I'm working on a Gluon workspace and my Plastic SCM repository is configured to use exclusive logs, if I run the cm list logs command, as you can see here now, I'm having the Unity scene in an exclusive log and also its meta file. Let me, just for the sake of clarity, if I go to a Plastic SCM GUI and I try to go to assets, completed assets, scenes, and level 1.5, if I try to check it out, I will get an error telling me that, okay, you cannot check out this file because there's another developer using it. Well, in this case, I'm not getting this error. It's telling me the other scenario. It's telling me that this file is not the head revision. I need first to update my workspace, and then I will be able, maybe, yes, maybe not, to check it out. In this case, even if I update my workspace, I won't be able to check it out because the other developer or the artist is having this file exclusively check it out. Okay, so I changed that file. Let me again submit this repository. Well, actually, if I don't want to submit this to the repository, I can also revert it. Let me move this bunny from here to here. Okay, and if I save it and I don't want to submit these changes to the repository, I can revert them. So reverting the content will place the bunny back to the original position. And of course, the collider will be enabled. Okay, now the capsule collider is still there. And I don't have any change in my pending changes. And if I run the list logs commands that will give me the items that are locked in the repository, I don't have them anymore. Okay, so now another developer could update the workspace as I was doing here, and check the file out and create new changes. Okay, so well, that's how you can check out files in Unity and so on. You can also, of course, add new files into Unity. For example, let me go to scripts, audio, and let's say here I want to create a new file. For example, a new C# script. Okay, let's say this is core game. Okay, as you can see now I have this red cross in here, meaning that it's not still in the repository. I need to commit it to add this file to the repository. Okay, it's as simple as going here, submit this content, and say new file, and finally submit it. As I said, this repository is shared by Gluon and also the regular Plastic GUI. So if I open the regular Plastic GUI and I go to the Branch Explorer, let me go to the head, refresh it. Okay, you can see that I have a new file. And if I double click it, well, I have this core game, and also don't forget the metadata file. Well, if you are using the plugin, it's not a problem at all because the plugin will manage it for you. If you are not using the plugin, it's highly important not to forget adding this metadata file. Okay, so well, and it happens just the same. Okay, for the rest of commits or change sets I created using Unity and the Gluon workspace. In this case, you can see the comment was bunny size is now bigger, and the size, well, actually the scale of the object is now 0.5. Now is 1 for all the axes. Okay, cool. So you can see that it's the same repository for both of them. In the case of Gluon, we are forced to work in the main branch. With the regular Plastic GUI, we can switch from one branch to another. And that's exactly the sample I want to be doing right now. Using this other project I have here, well, it's actually the same project, but in this case, I'm using a regular Plastic workspace. And instead of using the level 1.5 scene, I'm using this level 0. Okay, so first of all, how do you switch branches using Unity? It's not possible using Unity plus Gluon workspace, but it's completely doable using a regular Plastic SCM workspace and Unity. Here, if you go to the versioning window, let me move it here. You can even open the Branch Explorer, and it's extremely handy. You can see that you can review the same information for both Unity and the Plastic GUI. Let me show it to you. Okay, perfect. So how do you switch your workspace to one branch or the other? You select the branch and you switch your workspace to the branch. While switching your workspace to a new branch, you know, the content gets changed, and Unity will request you to reload the project. Okay, reloading the project will force to get the new content. In this case, as you can see, I have 3 capsules in the scene. If I switch, okay, to a different branch, in this case, let me switch to, for example, to the destination branch, you will see that instead of having these 3 capsules, I'm having, let's reload it, I'm having 3 cylinders. Okay, so I have several changes performed on different branches. What I want to do now is get them merged, okay, into a single scene, having the cylinders and the other objects. Okay, how we can do that? Well, using the Plastic SCM merge. And here you will see some approaches, different approaches. The first one is using a regular merge tool, test base, okay? And it's exactly what I'm going to be doing now. Let me switch to plastic. Okay, let me close the branch explorers. And now, let me refresh this too. Okay, what I want to perform is a merge operation from this branch to the destination branch. So I right click it and I select merge from this branch. Okay, if you don't understand what's going on during the merge, you can always click this explain button and Plastic will explain it to you. So you have a source change set, you have a destination and a base change set. The source is where you are merging from, the destination is where are you located, and the base is the common ancestor between the source and the destination. Okay, it's the common change set between the source and destination. If you are coming from Subversion or different SCM system, this is not called source or destination. This is called theirs. Destination is called mine, and base I think is the same name for all of them, but it's basically the common ancestor. Okay, so let me close this and proceed with the merge. If you are using a regular merge tool, you will get a beautiful merge like this one, which is almost, well, this is doable, okay, but you can get a uglier one. This is not very big, but you can see that, for example, here you have to edit the root order manually, and don't make a mistake with this number and so on. And sometimes it's a little bit tricky to get the scenes merged. And of course, here I have more conflicts, okay, also regarding the root order. And finally, I have some other conflicts in here that seems to be more complicated. Well, maybe here I have to select the two of them and here too. But well, at the end of the day, this can be more complicated, and well, you can try to get them merged using a regular merge tool, a test-based merge tool, or you can use a different merge tool, which is exactly what I'm going to be doing right now because I don't know how to solve this merge. So if let me undo any of my changes and configure a different merge tool for the Unity scenes. Okay, so some time ago, I think several months ago, we play a little bit with an internal tool that it's able to merge scenes files, Unity scenes files, and it's not a test-based merge tool. It's some kind of semantic merge tool, okay, because it's able to read the XML file and identify the fields, the values, and so on, and based on that, be able to merge the three revisions. So I have it already configured in here in Merge Tools, this Unity file. Let me increase the priority of this Unity file. So right now, for a Unity file that is a text file, the tool that is going to be launched is this Unity Merge tool. Okay, not anymore the merge tool we have just seen. Okay, so let me apply it and repeat the merge operation. Let me close this one, this one, this one, and go to the Branch Explorer and repeat the merge, the same one. Okay, let's process all the merge, and well, you can see that this is an automatic conflict. Okay, no conflicts at all for the developer to solve. So if you go to Unity and you open this, of course we need to reload it, and voila, we have the three capsules and the three cylinders on the same scene, okay, without having to resolve any manual conflict. Okay, let me undo it, okay, and repeat it with a regular merge tool. Let me revert it, yeah, okay, and repeat it.
Sorry.
Let me go here, refresh, okay, configure again a regular merge tool, which is the one that comes with plastic, but it's exactly the same if you use Beyond Compare, KD3, whatever merge tool you want to use, okay? And if you repeat this merge operation, you will see that you need to, it's not automatic at all. You need to go one by one and select here, okay, the root order is for this conflict, maybe is the value 1. Let's go to the next one. Maybe here is the value 3, or I don't know. I completely don't know, okay? And you need to figure out how to solve these conflicts. On the other hand, using this tool that we don't have any problem to share with you, you can use it for merging SCM files, okay? Well, I think there's a question.
There are a few questions.
Yeah.
Is there some way I can hook into the switch, merge, etc. features to run my own external script executable? We use other proprietary software that I would want to engage to that Plastic is able to continue and affect the workspace as it needs. Otherwise, Windows file locks will prevent it from working correctly.
Well, yeah, we have some hooks, for example, the triggers, and then you can attach your own tools there. We have several of them, for example, before and after the check-in operation, before and after creating a new branch, before and after switching your workspace to the new branch. So maybe you can hook your external tools to those operations.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there's another question. Sorry, can you please repeat the name of the semantic merge tool?
Yeah, well, this is an internal tool. It's not published yet. We can email it to you. It's free to use. We call it internally. We call it unitymerge.exe. Okay. It's a prototype, and well, you can use it if you want. It's able to handle some interesting amount of conflicts, and of course I think, in my honest opinion, I think it's much better than a regular merge tool, a test base, I mean.
Okay, Simon is asking, is the Mac version of the Unity merge tool released yet?
You mean about?
Yeah, I think in the merge tool for Mac.
Yeah, I think it can be used running mono.
Mono, yeah.
I think it's possible. I think I tested use in for Linux. I'm not completely sure for Mac. Yeah, but I think if you run this tool with mono, with the mono framework, it will work without any issue.
Mm-hmm. Another question, is the tool different than the Unity YAML merge that comes from Unity?
Yeah, it's completely different, yes. Last time I checked the Unity 1, it was having some issues handling some conflicts. But yes, it's basically the same concept, but it's a different tool, a completely different one.
Mm-hmm. What is the recommended workflow when using exclusive locks, but someone else wants to make quick changes to an asset that is locked just to test something?
Well, in that case, if you are using the Unity plugin, the Unity plugin will try to check the files out for you. And if it's not able to do so, you will get an error. So in that way, you cannot modify the file if another developer or artist is using that file. But if you go to offline mode in the Unity plugin, you will be able to edit the file, modify anything you want to do, and test it. And after that, you will be able to revert the changes and go online again. Okay. So if you go to Unity and you check the settings, I think if I'm right, yes, here you can select work offline. And with this option, you will be able to edit the files, even if another developer is having the exclusive lock. Of course, you won't be able to check it out later. Okay, keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm. Can you use clocking for this as well, or what is the clock used for?
Uh, I'm not sure if the clocking system is matching here. Okay. Well, the clocking system allows you to avoid downloading certain revisions in the workspace, but it's completely different than the Gluon features. Um, for
It's
example,
more focused on the regular
it's
workspace, right?
much more focused on the regular plastic workspace. I know it's having some issues when you are trying to merge branches and you are having a massive clocked workspace. You will get some conflicts there, and well, no,
Yeah, I
it's
think
not completely the same.
he's asking about the regular way, so
Yeah, yeah. Well, for the regular way, yes, you can use the clocking system to avoid downloading some areas of the content of the workspace of the repository. Yeah, but it's not the same. It's not thought to work at the same level as Gluon. But of course, it's very handy if you want to avoid downloading a big file. Okay, imagine that you are having 1 GB file and you want to avoid it because your network is not very good and it will last forever trying to download that certain revision. In that case, you can clock that revision and you will be saving that download time. Okay.
okay, it seems that there are not more questions now.
Okay, so I'm not completely sure what oh yeah, last thing I want to show you, okay, is how you can label your release using Gluon. Well, not so. I'm very sorry, not using Gluon, using Unity, okay, because with Gluon you cannot label and you cannot branch because they are not regular operations an artist would do. Okay, so with a regular workspace, you can always open the Branch Explorer. Uh, you can, for example, I think I have pending changes. Let me check how I did it. Okay, let's cancel this merge. I think I have it here. Yes, let's close it. Okay, and check if I have any change. Let's undo it. I want to have my workspace clean. So from Unity, if you open the Branch Explorer, okay, and you want to label a change set, you can do it as you would do it using the regular Plastic SCM GUI. You can go and right-click a change set and say, okay, this is my version 1.0, and that's all. Okay, there you have your first label. Imagine that then you label the latest change set as the version 2.0. Okay, you can always now take the first one or the latest one and div with the previous release, which is the version 1.0. Okay, and you can review all the changes and all the things you create. Uh, of course, you can also switch your workspace from your current branch to a label. If I switch my workspace here, remember that I'm loading these 3 cylinders and the 2 cubes and 1 sphere. If I switch to this change set here, okay, that's all. Okay, so you can always keep the control of your workspace, and if for some reason you want to undo your workspace and start from scratch, you can always select the previous change set, go to there, okay, and start working from there. You can even create a new branch, okay, completely a new branch. And let me do it for you. Create a new branch. Here is a demo branch, and switch my workspace to this branch. I will use this checkbox to auto switch my workspace to the new branch. And here, for example, let's say that this cylinder or capsule I increase the X value and I change also the position. Okay, so now if I save it, Gluon will, Unity will check out the files for me and I can submit it. Notice that sometimes Unity will check out files that are not having any change. Look, this is completely normal, okay? It's not a problem at all with Plastic because when you are committing to the repository, if you are trying to commit a file that is not having changes, the Plastic SCM server will revert it for you, okay? If you are not comfortable committing all those files and relying on the Plastic SCM server, you can always right-click the root and select revert and change. Okay, and Unity will do it for you. It's exactly the same thing the Plastic SCM server will do for you. Okay, so now that I have this change, I can submit it, and now a small change and submit. Okay, if I go back to the Branch Explorer, it doesn't matter if I use the Plastic GUI or the internal Branch Explorer, is going to be exactly the same information. Now you can see that I have my first change set on the child branch. If I want this branch merged back to my parent branch, it's exactly the same thing. Let me check if I have the good merge tool configure. No, let me use the Unity one. Okay, and now if I go here and I merge back the branch, I will have the content in my scene. Okay, so it's as simple as that. Of course, if you are working with artists and they are going to be changing graphical properties and so on, maybe it's easier to work everybody on the main branch using the exclusive checkout. That is completely up to you and depends extremely on your company. Okay, it depends on your workflow. And well, let me finish submitting this content. Okay, and now it's done. Okay, I have my content on the parent branch.
Okay, it seems that there are more questions.
Yep.
Manis is asking, it is my understanding that the repo size will never get smaller even if you delete files. However, if you delete a branch, will that reduce the repo size, or will that branch remain in the database forever?
That's a good question, and I guess you are asking that because you are coming from a Git background. With Plastic SCM, you cannot delete branches. At least you cannot delete branches having change sets. You need to first delete the change sets and then delete the entire branch. If you delete files, you are right, the database is not going to decrease its size because you are still storing those revisions. What you can use is the CM archive command. Okay, this CM archive command will will archive data into an external drive. Then if you repack the database, you will be saving space. Okay, that's the only way to save space in the repository. Well, there's another way to do it, which is replicating, for example, only the main branch to an external and additional repository, and in this case you will be saving a lot of data too. You will get a subset repository. With Plastic, you can select some branches and replicate them to a new repository. This is something you cannot do with Git. For example, with Git you need to clone the entire repository. With Plastic you can select some of the branches and that's all. and creating a smaller repository based on a branch, it's possible, and the size will be smaller. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, Caleb is asking, will the merge tool work with prefab files?
Yes, it works for both Unity and prefab files. Okay, basically a prefab is a subset of a scene, so it's more or less the same format. So yes, you can configure the merge tool to be used with Unity and prefabs. Let me go here. You can set it. No, sorry, here. Okay, not only Unity, you can use semicolon and then dot prefabs. Prefab. Okay, it's going to be working too. Yeah, no problem at all.
Okay, one more question. Johan is asking, if I want to write editor script to do some plastic operations, can I integrate CND Runner into my Unity project?
Yes, I think it's doable. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah. If you are having any trouble doing that, you can write us to support, for example, support@coditsoftware.com, and we can help you with that. But I think, yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
doable.
it is doable. Okay. Do you plan to open source your semantic merge tool or provide a copy of the source code somehow else? Are you working with Unity Technologies, any official capability to ensure a smooth development of it?
Well, I'm not the right person to answer that question. I'm not sure if we are going to be open sourcing the Unity the semantic merge. Well, first of all, are you speaking about the semantic merge, the tool we have, or this Unity merge tool? Because it's confusing. We have two tools.
He's talking about this Unity semantic kind of.
Good question. I'm telling you this because, look, we have also a semantic merge tool, okay, that is able to read C# files, Java files, .NET files, okay, Visual Basic, and we will be able releasing C++ and JavaScript shortly. I'm completely sure that we are not going to be open sourcing the semantic merge tool, but if you are talking about the Unity merge tool, I think it's possible, but I'm not completely sure. And we are not working with Unity for this Unity merge tool, okay? We are working with Unity for integrating better in the Unity 3D GUI studio, and we are trying to work with them integrating Plastic in for the cloud build server, okay? But that's not done yet.
Mhm. Okay, Johan is also asking, is there an estimated release date for the Gluon for Mac?
Not at all. No, I'm sorry. No.
So we have said I think you can use Mono for running
the semantic Unity merge
tool. Gluon, yeah, no,
but not for Gluon. I'm sorry, but not for Gluon. Only for Windows at the moment.
Okay, Brainay is asking, with .unity and .prefab, I'm guess they have to save in text mode.
Yes, that's true. You have to go to your Unity preferences and set to be stored in text mode, not in binary mode. Okay, we are not able to read the binary mode of Unity, only the text XML.
Okay. Simon is asking, do we need to upgrade, reinstall the Unity plugin every time we update Unity?
No. As far as I know, that shouldn't be needed. It actually, from the Unity point of view, okay, from the Unity side, they are in charge of releasing new upgrades of the plugin with every upgrade. Okay, not with every upgrade, but every time they need to change the source provider, they do it with the Unity upgrades. And we usually improve the Unity plugin, or we do some bug fixing of the Unity plugin, but that's something that is deployed with the Plastic GUI, okay? And you get it by upgrading the Plastic SCM installation. So no, answering your question, no, it is not needed to upgrade it, and it's done underneath the user, so you don't need to care about that.
Okay, one more question. Sebastian is asking, might you send me the Unity merge tool you use?
Yeah, of course, yes. We will be, I'm not sure if we will be publishing it in the YouTube link. We will be adding, we are going to upload this session to YouTube. So we are going to send an email with the YouTube link to review this webinar if you want to. And maybe in the description, in the video description, we can add a link to download the Unity merge tool. No problem at all distributing this small tool.
Okay, seems that the last questions, Perrine is asking, will this work with all image formats?
Very good question. By default, we support a good number of images formats. Let me show it to you. If you go to Plastic SCM, the regular GUI, and you go to Preferences, inside div, okay, let me try to find it because no, it's preview tools. Yeah, here, okay, if you go to preview tools, you can add the default one, which is Image Magic Preview, and this one, as you can see, it's supporting a good number of images extension. Okay, but if yours is not present here, okay, you can create your own. We just need to get a preview of your file, and we will able to display the differences between the previous revision and the current one. But you will be in charge of providing the preview. If you search it, or if you Google it, you will be able to see how you can create a div provider for Plastic SCM.
Mm-hmm. And I think also Brian is asking, also any plans on extending this to 3D models or other binary assets?
Yeah, maybe for 3D models, but it is not on our roadmap yet. But as I said, you can well, that's a different story. For 3D models will be very difficult to do it. Yeah, for using an external provider. I'm sorry, it's not on our roadmap yet, but who knows? Maybe we will do it.
Okay, seems that there are not more questions at the moment. Okay. Oh, there is one more question from Paul. Does the same plastic repo could have both a Gluon workspace and also a regular workspace?
Yeah, well, as we said before, you can use, for the same Plastic SCM repository, you can use Gluon for artists, and you can use the regular Plastic SCM GUI for developers. So they can coexist using the same repository.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it seems that Paul is asking as well, can I run the Gluon operation directly from the command line?
Yeah, there's a command line for Gluon operations, for example, creating workspaces and configuring what to download from the repository, that is called CM partial. Okay, so if you type CM partial, you will get more help about it. Okay, and this is the command line for Gluon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bernie is asking related questions. If I'm using the regular plastic repo, I mean the regular plastic GUI or workspace, change the branch and then switch to the Gluon mode, what happens?
Well, if you force the workspace to switch to a branch, there you will transform your Gluon workspace into a regular one. And then if you switch back to main and you use Gluon to configure the workspace, you will transform the regular workspace into a Gluon one. But I mean, that's something, it is not thought to work in that way. So be careful if you do that, okay?
Yeah, no, normally if you need to have both, it's not a problem to create one workspace for the Gluon features and a different one for the regular one, so you can have as many workspaces as you need. So.
Okay.
Seems that there are no more questions.
Okay, let's wait
a few seconds.
Okay.
Oh, one more question. Someone is asking, sorry for this question, I missed the webinar as I was called urgently away from the computer. Okay. Will it be available online?
Yes, we will be uploading this session to YouTube, and we will be sending an email with the link and all the details, okay? So yeah, you will have it.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you very much for attending today to this webinar. If you have any suggestion or something you would like to see in the incoming webinars, you are more than free and welcome to write us. You can use our public forum, plasticscm.net. And okay, we hope to see you again soon.
Someone said, okay, more video demonstration, please.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much.
And see you in the next webinar. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.